Welcome back, Bat Fam, to the Season 3 premiere of Batwoman on the CW. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick recap and breakdown of everything that went down in this episode, along with all my thoughts, theories, and predictions, and let me know your various opinions and theories in the comments below. Also, of course, quick spoiler warning if you've not yet seen this episode, but without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into breaking down Batwoman Season 3, Episode 1, titled Mad as a Hatter. So we kick off the season in a not strong, but it's not bad either. So it's a good way, I guess you could say. And we kick right off with the Mad Hatter, who, I mean, as you can tell from the title of the episode, is the main villain, almost like villain of the week that we're getting here, because that's kind of going to be a theme of Batwoman Season 3, because we're following up after the cliffhanger of Batwoman Season 2, where now all these Batman villain trophies are now just out there. They were out flowing in the river, and now they're just out there in Gotham City, and now they're on the loose, and we're going to be getting all these classic Batman villains, except for the most part, it's going to be new adaptations of the characters, but, you know, I'll take what I can get. And we see the first example of that in this episode with the Mad Hatter, because you see this episode opens up with all the Bat trophies washed up on the side of the river, and someone finds the Mad Hatter hat and then sells it on eBay or something like that to a man who is obsessed with Alice. And this is something I was wondering about. If you watched my trailer breakdown for Batwoman Season 3, I did mention that. I was wondering like if Mad Hatter would have any connections at all to Alice, and as I just mentioned, this is a new version and a new incarnation of the Mad Hatter. This is not the original Jervis Tetch version. They do go on to clarify that later when Luke is talking about like files that his father had on Mad Hatter Jervis Tetch. So this is a new character taking on the mantle of the Mad Hatter, and he is definitely going on to cause some chaos in this episode. But meanwhile, you have a great introduction here with Batwoman and Batwing doing a great tag team partnership here, taking down some criminals, and the first Bat villain trophy that they retrieve in this season is the Poison Ivy. And we already know that there's been an unofficial casting of Pamela Isley, aka Poison Ivy, for this season. She's actually going to be one of the main villains, so obviously that's not going to stay in their hands for a while. And it will eventually make its way back to the original Poison Ivy, so I'm really excited to see that. But for now, it is in the custody of the Bat team. Now, as for Alice, life is just not going good for her, of course. At the end of Season 2, she was imprisoned in Arkham Asylum, so she is there, and she thinks that she's getting a bunch of letters from her father, Jacob Kane. And as we later see in the episode, that's not the case, but we'll talk about that later. But she also keeps teasing throughout this episode Ryan's birth mom. She brought this up not only when she was talking to Mary, but also when she actually was talking to Ryan. And that there is something that you see get more come into focus towards the end of the episode, again setting up for more things later on in the season, specifically next week's episode. Then you get to really see the Mad Hatter in action here, because you see he's going down in this sewer, and it seems like maybe this is one of his hideouts, because there's posters of Alice all over the place, and he's just obsessed with Alice. And he's actually live streaming this whole thing. This was the thing with the character in this episode, is that he was like live streaming or like videoing like a lot of the stuff that he did, and it was like kind of messed up also, you know, like a more modernized version of this character. So he's doing that, and all of a sudden two guys walk up to him, start bullying him, start making fun of him, and calling him like a leprechaun and all this stuff. So he uses the Mad Hatter hat and the mind control technology within it to mind control one of the guys to kill his friend. And it was really messed up, really disturbing, and obviously he's able to escape and everything. And this is really the big crime that kind of makes his presence known in Gotham City, because this is when Ryan and the Bat team first find out about him, and this is also when Renee Montoya shows up and starts investigating, and she's going to be a big character in the season. Fun fact, she's actually played by the same actress that played Renee Montoya on Gotham as well, so she's playing the same character again, just different versions, so that's pretty cool to see. But as Alice was teasing before, the Mad Hatter has some sort of tea party planned, and that is actually going to be at the graduation of Mary's. So she's got her graduation from med school, so everybody's going there to, cheer her on and help celebrate and everything. But then Mary actually runs into the Mad Hatter backstage, and obviously she gets hypnotized, and then she starts getting really freaky with her speech, and then all of a sudden the Mad Hatter comes on stage and tells her to start removing her teacher's organs until he dies. One at a time, remove his organs until he dies. And because she's being mind controlled, she can't do anything to fight back against it, so she just starts doing it. So obviously at this point you see that Ryan and Sophie and Luke are in the audience, and they clearly know that this is not Mary being Mary, so they've got to do something to stop the Mad Hatter, and they come up with a plan that the only way they can stop him is to give him what he wants, and that is Alice. So Batwoman goes to Arkham Asylum, breaks out Alice, and this is where we actually get the reveal that those postcards from Jacob Kane were actually just like random ads and clippings from magazines, and Jacob never really was writing to her, so that's kind of just showing how out of it she is and how delusional Alice is. But anyway, she goes along with Batwoman, she gets broken out of Arkham, and then she confronts the Mad Hatter and kills him. Or at least I think kills him, because like she stabbed him and then after that she said like, oh, I didn't kill him. So maybe she didn't kill him, but she stabbed him anyway, so he's down, he's been defeated, and now the Bat Team has their hands on another Bat trophy with the Mad Hatter's hat. And then Ryan actually goes back on a promise to Alice, because right before this, she promised Alice that like, if you help us, then I'll let you get away, but she completely denies that and just takes her straight back to Arkham. And also, by the way, teacher's fine, Mary's able to save him and bring him back to life and everything. But then at the end of this, the Bat Team kind of does a little bit of a celebration of their win, and then we get a whole bunch of, almost like a montage of different moments of things that are setting up for huge things in Season 3. Like, for example, Luke actually leaves early because he needs to figure out why his suit keeps malfunctioning. That's something that happened a couple times in this episode, is that his suit just kept shutting off and like glitching and stuff, so he's got to figure out what's going on there. And Ryan actually, like, another thing brought up in the episode is, like, what his name should be. And his first idea was, Black Batman. But then by the end of the episode, Ryan suggests, hey, Batwing. And, we were already calling him Batwing anyway, because that's who he is in the comics. But now he finally officially has the name in the show. And then when he actually gets back to his workshop and he's working on the Batwing suit, his helmet starts talking to him, and it's actually the voice of his father, Lucius Fox. And it seems like it's actually like communicating with him and not just like some sort of message. So I think that now Batwing has like an AI, similar to like what you'd see with like Iron Man and Tony Stark, how he had like Jarvis and Friday in there. So seems like Batwing's going to be having a very similar thing with Lucius Fox as well, which I'm really interested to find out like the logistics behind that. Like, how did Lucius do that and get like, that whole thing going on there. Like, we've seen that done plenty of times on Supergirl, but that's because it's, like, Kryptonian technology. This is, like, regular human technology. So I'm really interested to find out how they explain that. But then we also get an update with Ryan's mom, as I was mentioning earlier, because Sophie specifically did some digging on Ryan's birth mom to find out her real name, because who the name that Ryan thought her mom was, turns out her certificate of death was actually faked, and that person actually never existed. So Sophie finds out her real name, has it in an envelope, a bunch of information about this person, and Ryan decides, you know what, I don't want to know, she is my mother, but I'd rather live life not knowing. So she decides to give up on that, but then, meanwhile, we get to see actually our introduction to Jada Jet, who is Ryan's real birth mother, and she's like this super rich lady that's like the CEO of some sort of wealthy business, and she gets an alert from like one of her assistants saying that like, somebody's been investigating you, not only getting research on our company but specifically on you. And that of course is confirming that that's the research that Sophie did to find out about Ryan's mother, because Jada Jet is Ryan's mother, and that's something we see based off the promo for next week's episode is going to be a big